Today I'll be speaking to you about some protective factors that you can use to help prevent your children from experiencing addiction, becoming addicted to various drugs. We talk about this within the context of Psalm 127 verse 4 that says, "Children born to a young man are like arrows in a warrior's hands." So these are the ways that you can protect our arrows. Your children are more than just children. They're arrows designed by God to have a purpose and a plan to impact the world for Him. So that's why we look at this within the context of protecting our arrows. The number one thing that you can do to prevent your children from experiencing addiction is to help them build healthy connections with yourself and with others. It's interesting to note that the part of the brain that fires up during an opiate high is the same part of the brain that fires up when you develop a strong attachment to someone. So put it in more practical terms, the same part of the brain that's firing between me and my son when we're out playing catch is the same part of the brain that fires up if one of us were to shoot up heroin. My son's 8, so hopefully that's not happening. I don't think that it is, but it's the same part of the brain going on there. So if we can stimulate that part of the brain through healthy connections, healthy attachments with others, then it lessens the chances of him trying to fire up that part of the brain through opiates or other drugs. Another way to do this is not just with yourself, but with other people too. But let me back up a moment and say that the number one influence on your children's life is you. You have the most influence as their parent on them in the type of young man or young woman that they end up becoming. So you need to take this role extremely, extremely seriously, and don't let society tell you, don't let culture tell you that the primary factor in influencing your children are their peers. That's just simply not true. It's you, their parent. So take advantage of that. Use that to your benefit and be a strong influence in their life. Another real practical way of doing this, if baseball is not your thing, if sports are not your thing, is to family meals. Gather around the family for supper every night, or as often as you possibly can. Have a good meal together. Again, same parts of the brain are firing there. So engage them in that way, help them develop a strong connection with you through there. That is one of the biggest things you can do. There's been numerous studies done on this about the importance of family meals in preventing our children from going down the road of addiction. It's certainly not a place we want to find our young people. Encourage them. One of the biggest things that goes on with addiction is peer pressure. One of the primary reasons why it starts for many young people is it seems like the cool thing to do because all the other cool kids are doing it. But when you encourage them, help them develop a healthy view of themselves, it makes them less likely to go down that road themselves. They're more likely to be willing and able to stand for themselves and stand for what they actually believe in, to stand for the values and character traits that you try to instill in them. Help them develop self-control is another thing you can do, and all these are on your notes that I made for you and handed out beforehand. But help them develop self-control. Give them opportunities, even from a young age, to begin to put them in situations where they have to make a decision for themselves. Now, one way to do this is within athletics, within youth group, within other places where they have a little bit of freedom, a little bit of free reign in their life. Help them develop self-control where they have to make the choice between the right decision and the wrong decision, and you do that early. It helps them develop the ability to do it when they're older. Fourthly, talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about these things. One of the things we hear again and again is that parents don't want to speak with their young people about drug use, particularly something like cannabis or marijuana, because it was something that they experimented with themselves. So they feel as though it would be hypocritical of them to talk to their teens and tell them not to do this when it's something that they themselves did. Well, I promise you, there's nobody else more qualified to speak with them about these things than you. You know firsthand the dangers of marijuana use, the firsthand of drug experimentation. So it makes sense that you would be the one to speak with them about these things. Now again, you don't want to glorify it and make it sound like it was something awesome and extremely, extremely exciting. You want to be honest with them. Be honest with them about the brokenness that it caused in your life, about the pain and the suffering that it caused for you. And be real honest with them about why you chose to do it, why you thought that would be a good idea. I know personally the one time I did experience a high, it was a series of bad choices. One bad choice led to one bad choice, led to another bad choice. So be honest with them about that. The importance of strong, good decision making. And lastly, educate yourself. Educate yourself. Too many people want to stick their head in the sand on this thing, on the prevalence of opiate use, the prevalence of marijuana, or even other even more dangerous drugs. It's important that you take the time to educate yourself. Go to things like this. Read up for yourself. The internet is a wonderful place to find information, although it can be a scary place. So just a couple sites I would like to refer you to. The CDC, Centers for Disease Control, has a lot of really good stuff on it. Another one would be the National Institute of Drug Abuse, the NIDA. There's another really good place that you can go to and find some really good information. There are other areas you can go to. Focus on the Family Life Today. Those are all places that have good information that you can get on drug abuse. And also stay connected through the House of Hope here. We'll continue to provide you with good information, and we can continue to provide you with the tools you need to help prevent your children from going down the road of addiction. Ultimately, the biggest thing is to understand that as parents you have a responsibility to protect your arrows, protect your children. There are things that God has intended for them, that God has planned for them. So connect them to that spirituality aspect, connect them to God's grace, and help them grow. Help them grow, and help them to grow some protective factors within themselves. So thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure to share this with you, and I hope it's helpful in the future. God bless.